Hi everyone, welcome back. It's me. Today is 11/11/2025 at 1:16 p.m. and I did just see 1111 or 111 111. Okay, and I was just in the thought process of saying to myself, this is really important that needs to be said. And I've said this before, okay? If you can't read this, I've talked about this in a video that I'm going to connect, and I'm going to show you. Let's see if I get that right. Oh, goodness. Well, it says Max Spiers dead. Conspiracy theorist was terminated by sophisticated elements. P.S. If you can hear them doing all this work outside, I apologize. But it was important that I got this done before I forgot what I really truly wanted to say about it when the inspiration hit, okay? Because I've had really strong intuitive feelings before, and I just want to say, to start off, okay, that I agree. I watched a documentary, okay, and Max's mom had said how disrespectful and awful it was for people to be making up all these stories about how he died or what happened, or just making up complete fabrications, of Men in Black and this and that, It's all been done. And I just want to say that this is not what I'm doing here. And I just want to share my personal feelings about when it says sophisticated elements. And the reason why is because it says right here that he knew he was going to die after working to expose enemies within other realities. These are the unseen forces. These are the elementals. These are the interdimensionals. And I was thinking this over because I do realize how it's affecting me personally. If you think that I don't, I do. And that this is something that all of us have to work at daily. And that I never claim to be, what's that, holier than thou? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm also in this process too, but I recognize things. So ever since 2010, I've been listening to people's stories about what they perceive to be aliens. And I've learned a lot through that, through different things, and learned to recognize these things going on within myself. Like, for instance, I will tell you one thing. Not that I'm going through this now, because I'm just in the process. I drink 2 of these water bottles a day, no matter what. But that's because in the past, especially my old apartment, when there was a lot of unseen forces interference. Hold on, I'm just going to pull you closer. So there was a lot of stuff going on in my old building, energetically and spiritually. There was a lot of stuff. And so I was affected by that a lot. And I tried to keep it out of my unit, but there was only so much I could do. A lot of the stories that I wrote in my first book were happened there, especially the ones that are a little bit more disturbing. So there was a lot of stuff going on in there. But one thing that I remembered happening is that there were times when I would forget to drink water, and then I would get very thirsty and dehydrated. And I remember watching James Bartley, and he had said with these parasitical type of entities, especially what he would call a reptilian, what we know as the salamander, the fire element, that's why you get dehydrated. They burn away your fluid and all of that. They can take you out this way. I had to change my wording, but they can end you this way. And what I'm going to explain to you today is about the elements within and outside of us. Okay? Because there was just something about the way that this was worded. I don't want to start any more conspiracies or rumors, okay? Because what is fact is that, unfortunately, this is connected. It just doesn't stop with this. I'm really sorry if you can hear that. Please just stick with me because this is important, So, unfortunately, Max, and this isn't not like it wasn't known, it is known, Max had a problem with drugs. Now, it wasn't just marijuana, okay? It was harder drugs and it was opiates. And those are really hard on the stomach, okay? Especially if you're excessively taking them, okay? Pharmaceuticals and such. And Max struggled with this. And I think alcohol too. And this was well known. It's not to shame him. We all have our battles to fight, yeah? Unfortunately, these things will latch on to people who are intelligent, who have experiences, who are spiritually sensitive, and all of this kind of stuff. And, well, when he, before his demise, he said that he threw up black stuff. And a lot of people ran with this about black goo. But that's not what it was. Blood, when in the stomach, it comes out when you throw it up. It appears to be black. Okay? Because of the stomach acids and such. It looks darker and it looks black. And so a lot of the times, if you vomit and you have black stuff in your vomit, it's normally because maybe an ulcer has burst or whichever. Or there's something wrong with the stomach that is not good. And normally ulcers will happen after long periods of drug use. Okay? And both him and his girlfriend, Sarah Adams, were doing this together. He was not with Sarah at the time because they were no longer together. He had another girlfriend. Okay? But it was very tragic and unfortunate that he passed. But no one, him, you know what I mean? No one did that to him. Max did that to him. It was an unfortunate overdose. You know what I mean? Like, his body just couldn't take it anymore. But also, what I want to tell you is that when he was talking about this stuff, if he had, like, I've heard stories where they talk about jinn, which are beings of the unseen realm that, for the most part, because even the Muslims say the jinn, some have accepted the divine creator and some have not. But a lot of them can be parasitical and feed off our energies for different things, whether pain or pleasure. So it can be good things or not good things, like things that we may not perceive. You know, sometimes these things, just like the feeling of when people are eating a lot because they can't eat, so they will cause gluttony. You see what I'm saying? I did a video about this. I just want to switch over here. It was back in May. Okay, it's here. And it was on May 28th, okay, of 2025. And this is where I first talked about this. But I didn't have the ability then, or knew that I could use Veed in this way to show you what I was looking at. So I tried to tell people about the elements and their inhabitants, but we're going to go over that. How they affect you inside and outside. Like I said, they have a way of latching on to our weaknesses. Things that, you know, cause us pain. Things that torment us. And it will make it difficult to let go of certain things. Now, as I was saying, this is something that I've had to work at myself. I know that I'm not completely free of it. I don't know if we'll ever truly 100% be, but you become more and more aware of how to be unaffected, right? Maybe some people are better at it than others. We've all had different lives and experiences, right? But I think the most important part is that we learn this stuff to protect ourselves and so that we can truly help others, right? Through the education of our own experiences. Because I don't think I would have ever believed anything that if it was me, say 15 years ago, listening to me now, I probably wouldn't have believed me, and I would have thought I was crazy too. Yep. So, this webpage or this website it says right underneath, they have control of us alive and in our death state. These are the interdimensionals because they're spiritual beings. They're non-physical, of the unseen realm. But it's like, it's strange because I won't tell you that I know everything, but I have seen and experienced this with myself. In the dream state, I had that SA. Okay, that happened with that reptilian-looking being. Okay, I talked about that before. In the butt, yeah. But it's not about pleasure. It was about them saying, look at us, what we're doing to you, and proposing like power over me. You know what I mean? It was a pretty terrible thing to do. But I don't walk around thinking like me too about it. You know what I'm saying? So I've had a lot of different experiences, and I really felt empathetic, and I had this feeling in my intuition about Max. Even when I first heard about his death back then, I thought no one killed him. It's, it's always it's tragic all around because I think in a way that if you can see it this way, there was a reason why we were separated and why non-interference is important. But at the same time, a great imbalance has happened. So, I don't know. I guess I can't explain it all, but I can explain some of this. So, in my feeling, like I said, with this about, his mother said no post-mortem examination was carried out, that his family were told that he died from his natural causes, right? It is suspicious, but they all knew that. And you know what? He may have known that they were going to get him. Maybe he knew that he couldn't be, because he had Monica go out and get him drugs that day, the day he died. I watched this. I researched this quite a bit. So, and it is, I don't know what kind of pains he was dealing with and what he had to deal with in his spiritual life as well. I don't know. And the more you give in to your weaknesses, like I have to get more and more comfortable, but don't think that some things aren't uncomfortable for me to talk about, because I know how people are like with their judgments, yes? But I think that just hearing about his lifestyle, he was drinking and he was doing this types of stuff. See, exposing that fifth column, like I showed you in my book, the fifth dimension is fallen angels and demons. But everybody's saying 5D is unconditional love. 5D. No, it's not. It's demons. And that's why they're all on this. I'm channeling Melchizedek and all of this crap. No, they're just deceptive bullshitters. But they will, prosper in that energy of the person thinking that they're so fantastic, channeling an archangel or whatever. It's probably David Wilcock, too. I apologize, all these ads as well. But you can go and watch this or read this for yourself, okay? Enemies and other realities. That's what he's talking about. The unseen forces. But they're also within us. We're not talking, when he says we're talking aliens, concepts that are beyond normal comprehension here. Yes. Aliens as in foreign entities. I don't know if a lot of people get this far. Like I said, that fella that was in town, he was 60-something years old. This is Max here. And now he is resting in peace. But I still feel that he never got to tell people this stuff. And so I feel a great responsibility that it falls upon me to do it because he didn't get to. I'm getting a tad bit emotional, so I'm just going to take a break. Just a moment. Okay, so I just want to say that it's all right to be emotional. I got a little teary. I had a bit of a think, and I calmed my fire. You have to learn how to control it. Emotion can be a powerful strength. You just have to learn how to control your fire. That's all. And so because I have tons of fire in my chart. And I realized this is why I have such deep feeling and emotion. But it can be a superpower in itself. Okay? So we're going to move on to a new webpage, and I'm going to show you something because this is affecting more than just Max, more than just me, so many others. This is exactly the type of thing where beings will be like, oh, the 3 days of darkness, the power's going to go out, the cabal's going to do this, or they're going to be arrested, all this nonsense to get people's hopes up, to suck out that hopeful energy, that hopium. Like I said, there used to be stories. I can't find it right now. I can't remember how I searched for it. But people would see shadow people in like opium dens. What do you think that was? Those are the beings of the unseen forces feeding off like a parasite of their pleasurable energies they're going through. You know, they were often having sex and doing drugs, man, in those dens. With the prostitutes. Oh, I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but, you know, ladies of the night. Maybe I'll have to bleep that out because I don't know if you're allowed to say that on YouTube. But that's where they were, in the opium dens. You know, it used to be quite common. It was just, you know, yeah, courtesans and all of that. So the thing is they were living off the energies, right? But this hasn't changed. Normally, yes, it comes from feeding off of pain. But you also have to learn how to heal those wounds so they can no longer feed off of them. And it does. It takes a lot of work, you know? It took me a long time. And it's just fresh, letting it go. But like I said, it took me so long to be able to talk about the twin flame thing without freaking out. But then I had this thing happen. I mean, it was a long process. I fought with it a long time. But then just one day, I made a decision and I promised the divine that I'd stick to it, and I have. And you know what? I've seen miraculous progress since. Just by doing these little things for myself. I realized that, because I literally just smoked a bowl. I did, of weed. But I know that one day it's going to happen for that too. One day I'm just going to be like, you know what? I don't need it anymore. You'll see. I'm going to prove it. I said in the description of this channel that you were going to see me go from dark to light. And I wasn't kidding. Yeah. So, you know, Anyway, let's just move on because this is already 20 minutes long. I appreciate you sticking around. The noise stopped. Okay, so I got to go scroll up back to this real top real quick. It's a beautiful image. And we're still going good? Good. So what you're seeing now is the eternal flame, the fire within and outside of you. You're also seeing the infinity symbol and the eye of source, the all-seeing eye. But that is the divine creator. It sees all, it is all, created all. That's what that is. Just because, you got to remember, there's people that have, like the Sith and the Jedi. That's the easiest way to understand it. You know? There's just certain people that make certain choices, that feel certain things are right for whatever reason. Okay? So, this page discusses, again, I'm going to add this all below, fire in your spirit, earth in your bones. So, you're in the spiritual realm. Like I said, I had that experience with the reptilian, which they're not. They're fire salamanders. Okay? It's the element of fire. And, well, that's why the jinn are called, a lot of the times are called beings of smokeless fire, because they're energy, all right? But, like the earth in your bones. So, when we talk about this, the fire salamander is of your spirit, it's spirit fire. The earth in your bones are the gnomes, right? The water within you are the water elementals. The air in your lungs, the air elementals. Okay? But you have good ones and you have not so good ones. It's what they said. It is so true. And I never told you guys. I never did. And I don't know. Should I add it into this? No, I think I'm going to make a whole other video about when I contacted the Muslims in my town to talk to them about the possibility of an alien in my room being a jinn, because I had met someone online who was a very wonderful Muslim lady. She was very open-minded and very kind to me. And I will always be grateful to her, because she was the one that gave me the courage to do it. And it was so, so, so valuable in so many ways for me. Even because I've been very interested in theology a lot of my life, and I've studied many different religions, but always felt spiritually that it was wrong for me just to choose just one. And I'd make a joke and be like, well, the other ones will feel left out, but I'm just joking. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, it says, the elements within you, understanding the primal forces like our primal water and fire. I should have grabbed my secret teachings of all ages, because it is connected to this, what I'm talking about right now. I learned about how they can extinguish you, and the unseen forces can do this from your elements within. They can make you sick. This is why they say the jinn will give you illness, not only mental illness, but physical illness. It's the same thing, different wording. When they say jinn, they mean everything of the unseen realm. This includes fairies, elves, gnomes, and aliens, what we think of as aliens. Yeah, beings of the unseen realm. So it says the ancient elements, earth, water, fire, and air, are more than just physical substances around us. They represent fundamental energies that flow through every living being, including you. These elemental forces shape your physical existence and influence your emotional well-being through their unique energetic qualities. The 4 elements manifest in your body: air element and breath connection, ancient elements, and what am I reading right now? Oh, okay, this is just about what we're reading. Sorry. Okay. The ancient elements, earth, water, fire, and air. You don't have to be perfect at everything. You just do your best. The ancient elements, earth, water, fire, and air, are more than just physical substances around us. They represent fundamental energies that flow through every living being, including you. These elemental forces shape your physical existence and influence your emotional well-being. I'm reading the same thing again. Through their unique energetic qualities. Again, I'm sorry I didn't prepare for this. Okay. The 4 elements manifest in your body in tangible ways. You can feel the solid stability of earth in your bones, the flowing nature of water in your blood, the warmth of fire in your metabolism, and the movement of air in your breath. Your body naturally seeks balance among these elemental energies. When you tune into these forces within yourself, you can better understand your physical and emotional needs. This awareness helps maintain harmony and vitality in your daily life. So the key takeaways to this are your body contains all 4 elements as both physical matter and energy. So both physical and spiritual etheric matter. So one is physical that you can see, right? One is non-physical, but it's still there. It's an etheric energy of fire, the etheric energy of air, the etheric of water. Do you understand? And of fire. So just like I tried to show you in that scene with, at the end of, what's it called? The 5th element with Lilu. And they have to get her to work and they put all the stones up. And you see the red come up for fire, blue come up for water. That's etheric energy. She was the 5th element. Okay? So it says balancing these inner elements helps maintain your physical and emotional wellness, which is true. Like I just had to control my inner fire, my emotion, right? So that I didn't get all out of whack with my thoughts and everything else. It's not like it's a bad thing. You need to feel to have inspiration to speak, right? But you can't let it overtake you. This is the thing with fire. It needs to be controlled. So I really don't want to go into all of this. But look, fire is will, energy, inspiration. Like I said, earth, physical form, working out your body, exercising like I have been doing, practicality, and growth. So I also did some housework. I cleaned the kitchen. I did some of this and cleaned my environment, my natural environment in which I live. And my emotions, again, with following my intuition, my feeling about Max. Okay? So it says ancient philosophers and whoever that is, recognize these elements as the building blocks of nature. Your body and spirit contain all 4 in perfect balance. Remember, we're combining these. We're connecting these together. Spirit and matter together. Okay? So I really would suggest you read all this because I don't want to make this too long. Okay? Because I have one more thing to get to. But before I lose my content, I'm just going to stop and then maybe I'll be able to continue. Hold on just one second. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today is November 14th, 2025 at 10 a.m. exactly. I apologize if you can hear any background noise. I have tried to avoid this. Unfortunately, it is unavoidable. I watched part 1. It wasn't too bad, so it should be fine. So I hope you're well. I had to, again, wait a few days after I initially recorded basically the first part of this video. I had a live stream right after that I had to get ready for. I planned to do the rest of this video afterwards. I don't think that anything is a coincidence because I was too tired to do it after the live stream, but it will be attached to this video. So if you want to watch that live stream, you can. So here we are, a couple of days later, and it, like I said, nothing's a coincidence because I was initially, let's say, inspired and fired up about this, no pun intended, when I saw an interview, and I didn't realize that we were around the anniversary of when Max died, or whether it's his death or his last interview or whatever it is. I don't know. But yeah, a video popped up. And when I initially heard about Max's passing, I didn't believe then that he was taken out by like a 3-letter agency or a secret society or anything like that, or aliens, or any of this stuff that was flying around. And so I seen another video about that, and I just feel like ever since what's happened in the way that it has, like, so last night I watched an interview with Miles Johnston, which happens to be who this interview, what we're looking at, this was done with him. A lot of people have mixed feelings about Miles, but that's only because of certain individuals that spread these theories about him. Okay? I think, Miles Johnston. So you see it right here. Okay? So, I'm just trying to remember exactly how it happened. Yep, that's the connection back to Max. So, right. So I went to check to see what Elena Danan was up to. Sorry about the ads on this page. I'm actually going to switch over to this one so that I can show you what I'm talking about. This right here with Danny Henderson. So I went to go see what Elena Danan was up to on Telegram. What was on my Telegram. And I saw a post and she used not the name, but the initials DH. And I thought, she can't mean Danny Henderson. That's her friend. So I went in the comments and I looked, and yeah. So it was Danny Henderson. And I guess they've had a falling out. Just like with Megan Rose, just like with Michael Sala. So I went to see if she had said anything. Not that I was interested in drama, but I wanted to see her side. Like, I went to go see about Megan Rose when that whole drama went down. And I didn't find anything. So I went to her YouTube and I watched her most recent video, which is this one right here at the top. Oh, Salem's in the recycling bag. But this video right here with Miles Johnston. Is it Johnson or Johnston? Johnston. Not Johnson. Johnston with a T. So, I'll tell you, I remember seeing both Sarah R. Adams and Max. I first was introduced with Max Spiers, not that I know him, but like just of him as a whistleblower or whatever, from Carrie Cassidy. I've been in this for a while. I believe this was like 2009, 2010. That stuff was out, but I didn't get to it till probably 2010. Okay? Or even in closer to 2011. But I remember I was watching Carrie Cassidy, and that is where, I'm sure it was, with Project Camelot with Max Spiers. And there was interviews with them over in England, and they visited this beautiful church. Sarah was with him. He was in his black, or it was a leather coat. Don't know if it was black. It might have been a burgundy red color or a brown. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I remember watching this stuff back then. And I kind of felt familiar with all that. But I didn't at the same time. I think there was so much that I didn't understand about my own journey, right? Okay, good. The time is still going. We're still going. But anyway, so that's what I knew about them. But even when I heard about his passing, I didn't believe any of that nonsense that was going around about him. I just had a feeling it wasn't that. And I was aware at the time that he's had addiction issues, that he struggled. Okay, but I do too. We're going to get into this. This is, remember I told you people in the spirit realm, you connect with certain individuals because you have things in common with them? Max is one of them. Okay, I'm not saying that I know him. He doesn't speak to me in the spirit realm or anything. But on the 11th, for some reason, this hit me very strongly. And for days now, I've been mulling it over and thinking about it. And I actually, just this morning, did some really... Oh, I can't see myself. Hold on. I need to see if you can see. Oh, this one here. Look, I did some research here. And this is all going to help us. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this little part and then stop and then do another little part. Because I need the websites about this last little bit about how I feel and believe his demise came to be. Because yes, he did know he was going to die. But it's not because somebody personally, like, I'm going to get you, told him so. These beings of the unseen realm, the elementals, the interdimensionals, whatever was going on with him, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it was the fire elementals, and we're going to get to that. And again, I am also a being of fire. I just channeled my interpretation of the fire salamander, how it appeared to me, my perspective, okay, through this drawing in a live stream. Now, they're not all bad, but I do know how they work, and we are going to talk about it, okay? Kind of looks like the Monkey King a little bit, but it does have like a fire wispy tail. You know what I mean? I'm going to draw a smaller version of him. You can see like little fire salamanders in the background with fire tails, almost like Charmander. So, oh, and that's a little ball of chi he's holding. She, it's actually a female. But anyway, yeah, well, we can talk about this a little bit, but let's just continue on before I lose my train of thought. So, I was being nosy, and I checked on Elena Danan. Then it led me to Danny Henderson. Yeah, right. I said that right? Henderson. Yes. So that's what happened, and that's how I found myself there. Uh-oh, I am stalling. Hold on, I need to get rid of something. Okay, we'll get rid of this one here. Am I still okay? Okay, we're good. So I watched this whole interview, and it was really good, and it confirmed my feelings, okay? So I basically had to understand why I felt this. It's a strange thing. It's almost like the same what I needed to learn from Maria Orsic, what I needed to learn from Helena Blavatsky, what I needed to learn from Rudolf Steiner, Manly P. Hall, Nikola Tesla. And like I said before, it's not like I think that I'm smart like Nikola Tesla. I had to think of the root, and even Max. And maybe it's more than that. Maybe the lesson is that they fell all to their undoing in some way. Like they're their own worst enemies in a way. Because there also is that element there. Okay? But this was the main point, is that we were all kind of effed over. You see what I'm saying? In a way. Even Manly P. Hall, his passing was under suspicious circumstances, okay? Even his wife then thought that he was taken out while they were on vacation, okay? So, although I haven't really looked into all of it yet and investigated further, but it's probably true. And the reason why is because they wanted to take what he had and transform it into something else. And that's exactly what they did with Nikola Tesla's work. You know, they used everything as a weapon when it could have been used for healing. You see what I'm saying? So there's always, and like I was saying, maybe what information, again, that Max was giving out, it was taken and turned into something else. I don't know. But the point is that I do know is that I had to learn about what we had in common. Okay? And I have. So now it's time to discuss it. So I had to get rid of that webpage, but we went over. Actually, why don't I just save? Okay, did I say about the thing? Okay, so about this interview before I get rid of this page, let's just talk about this, then I can get this over with. So these are all that I've watched about Max. So this girl here was upset too over the past couple of days because I don't know who James Colesbolt even is. That's the first time I ever heard of him, was there through this girl. But he also discusses it here in this interview. So maybe this is why, I don't know. But this was the video. Max Spiers unexpectedly got killed after making this video. That implies that he was like murdered. No, he wasn't. There was no evidence of foul play or somebody to be in jail, like Monica. Okay? Now, I realize, oh yeah, this one too. Max Spiers' last interview before his death. You know what I mean? They're just, oh, wait. After this interview, he got poisoned. Who said he was poisoned? He wasn't poisoned. Now, I remember it was, I believe, this in the BBC where they interviewed his mother, and I believe Max had really painful headaches. I think that's how he got on the opiates that he did. Now, please do not quote me because I'm trying to go as best I can on my memory, but even that day, he was suffering with a terrible migraine. That's why he was on the couch. He needed to lay down. Okay? But he wasn't poisoned. That day, I believe it was Monica who went out to get him some medicine for the headache. And then he took it, and he died. But that doesn't mean that she did anything to him. She'd be in jail. Monica's not in jail. That girl didn't go to jail. If you watch this, and she would have been, the cops aren't that fucking dumb. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, like, the whole thing is a tragedy. But I feel like it's dishonorable to his death to say something like that. He wasn't poisoned. The black stuff I explained. When you have blood in the stomach and you throw it up, it looks black. But this could be from stomach ulcers. This can be from pharmaceutical usages such as opioids or Percocets, things like this. They're very, very hard on your guts, your insides. He also drank a lot. Now, we are not judging him and putting him down. This is all for a reason. I have my own addiction issues with marijuana. And also tobacco, if you count it. But it's just because I mix the two of them together when I smoke it. Okay? Again, this has to do with the beings of fire, which are also known as the reptilians. They're not. It's the salamander elementals, the beings of fire, from this book. And this is what we're going to use as reference to help me explain it. Okay? So I'm going to link all this below. All these. These are just interviews that I will give you that don't support this guy's, or person, rather. We don't know if it's a guy of gender. We don't know. But this about this poisoning, please don't click on stuff like this to watch it because it supports these conspiracy theories and gets people's ideas. I've even figured out more about the vril parasite from this book, just from this morning, and all the highlighter stuff. And I've never done that to a book before, but I did today because it was so important. Okay. All right. So I'm going to save this part and then I'm going to come right back. All right. You probably won't notice, but hold on. Hi again. So we are all good. We are continuing, and I'm just going to go through this article. I do not think that it is a coincidence that, oh, now it's gone. That's ridiculous. Okay. Well, there was an ad up at the top, and Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were there. Yeah. And I don't think that was a coincidence, but together, like a picture together. So, and I don't want to get into that at this time, but that is something like PEDO gate that I believe Max talked about. But anyway, so it says a British conspiracy theorist. Okay, this is really important, first of all, the way this is written. Okay, Max Spiers, dead. Conspiracy theorist was terminated by sophisticated elements. I realize elements has another definition, and we will go over it, okay? But when I read that, at the time, when I looked at this again, because I've talked about Max Spiers before on my channel, and I think it was in the Fallen Angels Dimensional Beings, because we're going to get to it in this. It talks about a fifth column, like as in the fifth dimension. So I don't know much about Miles Johnson, but I do know that he was associated with, or he does know Carrie Cassidy, and maybe associated with Project Camelot. He was with the Basis Project. I think he had his own thing going on. But okay, so let's just read this. This is an article from 2016, October 18th. Oh, it was, okay, anyway. So from 2016 by Jack Summers. It says a British conspiracy theorist found dead in Poland was terminated by sophisticated elements who brought him back, having reprogrammed him, a friend claimed. Yeah. We're going to go into this. This is just my personal feelings, intuitive opinion, and all of that, okay? What I got from all of this. Max Spiers, 39. He was only a year younger than me. I'm 40. He was so young. And that is awful that he struggled. Look, I've heard the arguments about it. That girl that I showed you in that video, she was pretty upset and clearly didn't like Max. Like, me and Max weren't friends. We don't know each other. But, what was I thinking? Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to get there. But again, I didn't look it up, but Jesus said, if you are without sin, you can throw that first stone. Remember that. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about Max, okay? So he did say, all right, Max Spiers 39 sent a text to his mom, if anything happens to me, investigate, okay? He probably knew, like I said, this was going on. Like, you are somewhat, and you may be more aware of it when it's going on, but I have my own dealings and goings on with the fire beings of fire, so we will get to it. It's not all negative. It's something that they want you to beat them. In the end, they want you to beat them. They respect you when you win in battle. That's the whole point, okay? But he did. He must have known. They will tell you. Like, demons will whisper it in your ears. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing. They'll tell you. They probably told him, like, you've done this, or we just don't know what his battles were. But hopefully by the end of this video, because it just says about, I've got two examples, Saint Anthony and Benvenuto Cellini. Okay, we're going to use these two others as an example, which I found in the Secret Teachings, okay? But it all leads to the same thing, the same struggles of the spiritual and physical worlds, okay? Our internal battles, our pain, how we deal with them, and all of that. It's called Tempestuous Person, okay? Yeah. But it's not negative and it's not anybody's fault. You have to remember we all go through pain and we deal with it differently, and we shouldn't judge another. Okay? So anyway, he was found lying on a sofa in a flat in Warsaw where he had gone to give a talk about conspiracy theories and UFOs. Remember I said he had a headache and he wasn't feeling well? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he struggled with headaches, really bad ones, maybe even migraines. His family were told that he died from natural causes, although his mother said no post-mortem examination was carried out. Even so, there probably wouldn't even have been any mysterious circumstances seen in his body. You have to remember that in cases in Missing 411, which is again, these beings of the unseen realm, okay, there's different ones, right? So the fifth column does have to do with a certain group of beings that are known as demons and fallen angels. They are beings of the mind. They're highly intelligent, but they also go after intelligent people because it's a challenge. Okay? I know these beings very well. Well, because I am one, but we're not the same, you see? Yeah, we'll get there. Where was I? Right. So yes, so you wouldn't have seen anything in his post-mortem anyway. And I explained earlier that the black stuff in the stomach, if you throw up, blood doesn't come out of the throw up red. It comes out black. It changes, maybe because of the acidity and the stomach acid. Goodness, that's a recycling truck, if you can hear that. I apologize. But anyway, Miles Johnson, who also researches UFO, told BBC Radio 4 p.m. on Monday that Spiers knew he was going to die. Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to you get so tired in the struggle against it, they wear you out. And then eventually they attack you from the inside, and we will get to it. There's elements within and without. Without the fire elementals, you wouldn't be warm. They provide heat, right? They're in the energy that runs through our body, in our blood. So, after working to expose enemies within other realities, these are the interdimensionals, elementals, there's extraterrestrials, interterrestrials, metaterrestrials. I will post it below so you can look at it. I found a PDF yesterday that's pretty interesting, which goes over some of that, but I haven't been able to read it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting. But that's what it means by enemies within other realities, okay? Yeah, it has to. It's what it's all connected to. Even I was just watching a video on one of Max's last interviews, if not the last one that was on video, I guess. And he talked about reptilians, and there's different kinds of them. Again, it says this about the salamanders. But it says about reptilian humanoids, and I don't know. Again, the shape-shifting thing, all beings in the unseen realm can do the shape-shifting, not just the beings of fire. So maybe he didn't know. I'm not trying to knock on his intelligence or his knowledge. But, we don't know everything, even me. Okay? I can't really figure, because Corey Good said he was a super soldier too, right? And Emery Smith? There are different, jobs. Okay, I don't want to read into it too much because I have a job to do right now. Okay, so enemies within other realities. I would agree that they probably told him, like I said. He said, "We now got an unthinkable situation. Max has died for his country and the people on this planet. We're dealing with aliens, but they're not aliens. They're only alien to us because we forgot them. But they've always been here. Just behind the veil in the unseen realm. And we forgot them." So it says, "We're dealing with a predator within humanity because they are pretty upset that we replaced them." A fifth column. like I put in my book, that I found this was very helpful to understand all of this, and it also goes to the light spectrum. I'm going to see myself to be able to show you this. Oh, and what does it say there? On the 5th goes heaven, angels, and in the 5th, demons. This is what it says. This is from a fellow named David M. Masters, and it was extraordinarily helpful, what I read. So to quote him, he says, the 5th dimension, this is the plane of existence populated by intelligent entities that have never existed in the 3rd dimension. And these would be elementals too. They're the etheric essence of fire. They're aether beings, spiritual beings. Being closely associated with the 3rd dimension, entities in the 5th spiritual dimension can interact with us easily, influence our thought patterns, circumstances, and or the elements in our lives. In religious text, these entities are referred to demons or fallen angels. Because I believe that even if you go down, see, angels are above in that level. So even if you descend one level, what are you? A fallen being, because you've either left by choice or whether you're kicked out or whatever, but usually it's by choice, by choices in your decisions in the mind of the heart, right? They fell to temptation, sexual temptation with women and all that. That's what they say about the fallen angels. Yes. So you go down in dimension this way to lower yourself to these things. So even if you just go from 6 to 5, well, you're technically falling. You have descended. Or from 6 down to 3, you're a fallen angel. So with that being the 5th column, that's what made me think of this. And it's all connected. So he told host Eddie Mayer that Spiers was trying to expose enemies in other realities. Yeah. I think that he probably wanted to tell everybody this. I don't know at this point how avid he was to talk about his struggles with addiction and alcohol and terrible relationships with women. Before we continue, I'm going to switch over to this page. Hopefully it works. Okay. A tempestuous person is someone who is characterized by strong and intense emotion. Emotion is fire. Remember I said I have to control my own fire? Yeah. Often displaying turbulent or stormy behavior, especially in relationships or arguments. This can describe someone who is passionate, but also prone to outbursts and conflicts. This is not to judge him, you know? I think that he's always had, and like that girl who was upset in that video, she said Max was weak. And I found that to be disrespectful. Because yes, we all have weaknesses, but he was very strong to battle them, to fight them. And I know he was, even in the smallest of ways. Okay? Like, I don't know him, but I can also go on how I feel too about my own self, right? And my own struggles. I don't mean to project. But it says Johnson claimed he was briefed that he too had been targeted, but it was not suitable to say on air who was pursuing him. Max did die, but they didn't get him, okay? When Max Spiers said he did not understand, we're talking aliens. We're talking concepts that are beyond normal comprehension here, yes. So, probably the soul eaters. So they didn't collect his soul in the end, so he was freed, clearly. Now, I didn't see Max or anything when I said that. It's that, like with the others, I got this feeling, and, well, this is where we're at. I do have a little bit to say, compassionately, as best as I can, about Sarah R. Adams as well. But he struggled, okay? So let's just get through this so I can move on. It's painful because, like I said, I don't know how open he was to talk about his struggles. I don't know. Or his relationships or any of that. I don't know. So is it borderline irresponsible? Maybe I should have learned more about him, but I don't know exactly where I would even do that at this point. Other than speaking with somebody who knew him, I suppose. I don't know. But, right, beyond comprehension. So, like I said, and normally in the end, if they defeat you, they'll own you, you know? But I don't think that's Max's case, so I agree that they didn't get him. Johnson, Miles Johnson, added Spiers was taken by very sophisticated elements, then terminated. Doesn't mean he was taken somewhere. He was taken hold of. Yeah. And I do understand what it means to be demonstrated as a system weapon. Yeah. Apparently there was some type of criminal business going on. But like I said, I have no idea who James Cosbold even is. And I think he's in jail. That's Max there. So he is resting in peace now. I think that might be the red jacket that he was wearing at the church. But I'm not sure. I just remember that he was in a leather coat. It could have been black. Like I said, they were in this big, beautiful church. He sat in like a big throne-like seat, I think. So, right. Where was I? Reprogrammed, and that was part of the trophy, right? Because he was for sale to enemies of us, of all us, but they didn't get him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the soul eaters. Like a trophy, like, look at this soldier that we were able to defeat. Just like me. They want me too. I know. I'm totally aware. You know, people think like that I don't, or like that, oh, she doesn't know what's going on. No, I do. I know very well, but I have to play this out. The only way I would have known is to have addictions myself. And I said, one day this is just going to fall away from me. You'll see. So it says, when Mayer asked whether Spiers was alive or dead, not quite either. Oh. Well, we can help Max. If there is something going on and he does need help, we can. Because the solar beings can become spirit and matter. They're not spirits, but they're not quite alive like us either. And it talks about this in this chapter in the Secret Teachings. I gotta move this little bookmark of the elements and their inhabitants. Okay? It explains about it all in here. Because they are of the etheric essence, they're of the aether, right? So, for instance, when the Avatar in Avatar The Last Airbender bends fire, he is moving the etheric energy of fire to turn it from a spiritual to a physical essence. You see? That's what you're doing. So you're taking spirit to turn it to matter. So with the solar beings, like I was saying, this is why some people may have marks on them. I think that has more to do with the government than anything, but if they're waking up with weird fingerprints or such and such and such, it could be because these beings were temporarily in a physical state, which it does say here. So when it says they have control of us, alive and in our death state, so this is why a lot of people think when they're abducted, it's happening for real. Often the recollection of a dream is so vivid that upon awakening, a person actually believes that he has passed through a physical experience. But this just has to do with the unseen realms, the spiritual world. And it's because you're in your spiritual etheric body. Of course it's going to feel real. It does. Okay. So alive in our death state. I know okay. Please don't leave. Shit. Okay, well, maybe we'll get there. I'm sorry. Okay, so about Max being weak, it says the morally weak. For this reason, they frequent, remember I told you this before, they frequent the atmosphere of the dope den, the dive, and the brothel, where they attach themselves to those unfortunates who have given themselves up to iniquity. By permitting his senses to become deadened through indulgence in habit-forming drugs or alcoholic stimulants, the individual becomes temporarily en rapport, means like immobilized, with these denizens of the astral plane. Like, as I said in an example, once I was SA'd in the spirit body form by a being that looked reptilian. I only seen it from the neck down. That doesn't mean that it was. I think it shaped itself to look like that. Okay? Let's just be clear. That was someone who changed itself to look like that, okay? I'm certain. So, I'm like 99% certain. Okay? There's that 1% that it could have been one of these beings, but I don't think it was. So it says the horrors seen by the hashish or opium addict and the lurid monsters which torment the victim of delirium tremens are examples of sub-mundane beings visible only to those evil practices are a magnet for their attraction. So again, you have these struggles with certain substances or sex addictions or anything like that. Well, at a brothel and things like this, you know what I mean? Okay. So we also have here saying about, so they're differing widely from the elementals because the elementals aren't necessarily parasitic, although they can be. So incubus and succubus are more vampiric, like a parasite, okay? Which is defined as the astral, okay, so the astral body either, this is what I was trying to get, either living or dead. So the vampire seeks to prolong existence upon the physical plane by robbing the living of their vital energies and misappropriating such energies to its own end, like getting him to waste himself on drugs and alcohol. Yes? He was a very intelligent fella, and I'm sure he had much more than that, but it's clear just from listening to the small bit that I did that he knew his stuff. Like I said, it's very tragic, but it all talks about it in this book. I will also add the chapter so you can read all about it. This entire chapter, which I posted before, like I said, I have just discussed this before. I think it was back in May when we started this first part of this video. So, okay, friends of Spiers who came from Canterbury. Kent said he vomited black liquid before he died. Well, like I said, they should have checked They could have assumed that it was blood. If he had stomach ulcers, it would cause that. Okay? Again, I'm not a doctor. It's just stuff that I know about those things. I've seen it before where people thought they were vomiting blood, but they weren't. It was, well, it was, but it was from a burst ulcer. He made a career out of investigating UFO sightings and alleged cover-ups. Okay? So one of Spiers' theories was that Nazis and Zionists were now working in alignment after a war stretching back about 50,000 years, which is true. Sort of. But remember, there's the Nazi idealists, like that they had that certain thing. I don't know if that's 100%, because remember we talked about the Thule Society with the symbol of the four staples of creation: earth, air, fire, water, north, south, east, west, all of that. We went over this before. You can watch that in the Solar Beings video with Maria Orsic, and the symbol that looks like a swastika, but it's not. Again, I don't know all about him. And now we have to worry about the people that are studying me to try to have like a battle of intellect. Be like, oh, well, it wasn't this, blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? But that's not for you to worry about. That's for me to deal with later on. But anyway, so there is they say like the custodians and the Anunnaki, translated in other words. Two different groups working in alignment, not necessarily together, but working towards a common goal. So Spiers voiced his ideas in a sit-down interview with Polish YouTube channel Poro, whatever that is, TV, forgive me. It is believed to have been his last interview that he gave. He said, yes, I suppose so, but I mean, Zionism and Nazism ideally is like to have this perfected race, which is basically in the initiates, an initiation, they would want people above a certain level of consciousness that have risen above their beast nature. That's what it is, like kind of like a holy people. So, but you got to remember the definition of what they think that is different. Like the Jedis and the Sith, they both have totally different ways of thinking. You see? Anyway, so I don't believe that they were always running with each other. I do believe they were at odds at one point. This is a war that stems back 50,000 years. They were just called Nazi and Zionism. That's just not modern day terms. Yeah, there is a source of this. But I truly believe it goes back even further than we think. It's floating around in there. I'm just not able to grasp what it is just yet. So that's the end of this particular one, this particular page, okay? Now, again, over here, all right, now it talks about this. I didn't mean to get to this one first, but we're already here. So, Benvenuto Cellini, 1500, 1571, he was an Italian goldsmith, sculptor, and writer, okay? But look, the first sentence, Cellini's life was filled with conflict and controversy, probably a lot of pain as well. Okay? There was something about that. He did a painting. Hold on. So I think I got the two fellas mixed up anyway, but it doesn't matter. So he has pain and all that in his life. Then over here, another person they mention is the Pan of St. Anthony. I had to look it up in an esoteric way because it brings up over here, it didn't bring up what I wanted, and then this came up. So it says, the work portrays the mental and spiritual torments endured by St. Anthony the Great, one of the most prominent of the Desert Fathers of Egypt of the late 3rd and 4th centuries. The temptation of St. Anthony was popular subject in medieval and Renaissance art. So this is like the struggles of the soul, the battles of the things that we have temptations with, the things that, we fall prey to or become morally weak to. It doesn't mean that they are weak. We all have struggles like this, okay? So good. Now, again, this is what's called a tempestuous person. A lot of writers, poets, actors, and all of this do have a strong inner fire, and they do have a lot of what's called passion inside of them. Like when they speak passionately, or, this is what they get fired up. This is what this means, okay? So again, I hope you can understand what I'm trying to explain to you. But I'm going to stop here so I don't lose this content, and then I will be right back.